Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Same Bet. Today, we're joined by a very special guest. This is Steven Campbell, and he's not leaving Las Vegas. Good morning. Thanks for agreeing to meet with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me come in. I've never been in a room in the Bellagio before, so it's actually a nice property, and I went into the atrium and saw that earlier, but yeah, it's always nice to be up here, and you got a great view.
Yeah, I think I'll be able to put a view here on the video here so people can see what it looks like from this room.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, I just want to spend maybe 10-15 minutes with you, just kind of shooting the breeze, really. You've been an inspiration to me as a newbie creating a YouTube channel. I've found you to be very genuine and very personable and transparent in your videos, and those are some of the things that I aspire to be here in mine. So I was hoping maybe you could tell the viewers a little bit about your origin story. How did you get started making YouTube videos?
Well, I've been on YouTube since it was YouTube a long time ago. And I never thought of putting up videos. I did other channels before, but in terms of the Vegas stuff, my wife kept saying, oh, there's all these Vegas channels and you should do that. And I said, nobody wants another video of the Bellagio fountains. There's a million of them. There's even professional ones with drones and direct audio feeds. And so but about last January 2019, for whatever reason, my wife and I said, let's go to Mount Charleston. We never went. It was cold. We thought there was too much snow, so we went out to Bonnie Springs Ranch. And when we were driving back, if you're not familiar with Bonnie Springs Ranch, you enter into one road called Charleston, okay, just north of the Strip, and it loops all the way around, basically, Red Rock. You come out on the south end of the Strip. Yeah. So you start on the Strip, you loop around, end up on the Strip. There is a little place called Cactus Joe's. If you've not been to Cactus Joe's, I highly recommend it. It's really cool. They have all these metal sculptures. It looks like something you'd see roadside California. Okay. And I put my phone on the dash and I recorded one of those hyperlapse fast videos. Yeah. And I was just playing around, editing it. I drove all the way into Vegas and I put it up there and I said, tomorrow I'll do another video. And I did another video and I said, well, maybe I could talk about things that people don't usually talk about in Las Vegas, stuff that I've seen working in timeshare for like 12, 13 years. And I started just doing videos and I thought, you know what, one thing I see is that people want to either glamorize or vilify. Either we're all degenerate gamblers living in casinos with alcohol problems, or it's a party town and everybody's rich. So I said, well, let's show people the real Las Vegas. And I started talking about the reasons why or why not people should move here, or why not people should vacation here, and give people a choice and not tell them, because the news nowadays, you watch one channel, it tells you what to think. You watch another channel, it tells you what to think. I'm tired of it. So I just say, hey, here's the issue, one side, the other side, what do you think? And then it maybe helps people out. I would hope it helps people. Yep. And I don't know, I just started doing videos, and I know common YouTube practices, know how to tag them and things like that. And I started watching other channels that teach you how to do the best practices, and I started doing them and people started watching, and it took off when I did a video on the Raiders Stadium that I edited. I actually sat down and took time, about 6 hours, to edit the whole video. And I said, I kept looking and refreshing. I was getting a subscriber every minute. Before I knew it, and after a day I had 400 extra subscribers on my channel. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And I said, okay, there might be something to this. Hopefully those aren't just Raiders people, and it just grew like that. Yeah. So talking about Raiders, I've heard sports is a big thing here in Las Vegas. With the hockey team that you have, and how well people from Vegas adopted that team. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a big sports fan, but I do hear bits and pieces. And talking about the Raiders, what's the local, I guess, feeling about the Raiders coming to town? Are they starting to get more excited about it? Or? Well, when at first, because here's the thing, I'm a fan of any team wherever I live. I want them to do well. And at first on my channel, I would make it like a little joke. I'd be like, hey, the Raiders are coming. It's like a threat. Yeah. You can't stop it. It's like an elephant's coming to trample down the circus tent. But that's how a lot of people felt at first, I think. I can't speak for everybody. But, it's building to a point where they're advertising it properly on television and trying to get people into it. And the difference between, the Knights and the Raiders is that the Golden Knights were built from the ground up for this city. and there was no team, and they had to have an ownership group, and they went to the National Hockey League and they said, here's $500 million, can we please try to have a hockey team?
Yeah.
And they said, okay, prove to us there's interest. So Vegas Born became the hashtag, and so it really was Vegas Born. Now this is another team we're moving it, and the Raiders have this pedigree of moving around, so a lot of people were skeptical. What's it going to be? What's it going to do? Can Vegas support it? I think a lot of people now are at peace with the fact that there's professional football coming here. They're skeptical that they'll even be able to afford to go to a game as a local because of the prices, what they could be for tickets.
Yeah.
But I think there's excitement because people like pro sports, and it brings communities together to a point. Hockey is much more communal than football because football's $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
But I think people are getting into the idea of it. Because even if you're a fan of the NFC, I don't know if you know how that works.
A little.
Well, you have 2 conferences. The Raiders aren't going to play those teams often, but every other year you're going to see your team come into town. So you do have that chance to see your team. And of course, if you're an AFC fan and you love the Broncos, you're going to see them all the time. So there are people from other places that are transplanted that will follow the Raiders, but they're going to follow when their team comes to town a lot more.
Right.
And they'll likely participate at a local bar or a casino, even if they can't afford to go to the game. So it'll be fun.
So you mentioned the prices. I believe that I've heard that locals get discounts with, showing IDs and things like that. Is that a possibility for sports as well?
I've not heard of any. Well, so the Golden Knights run specials where you can sign up to their text stuff, and they'll text you before a game and say, hey, we have some seats left at this price, and snap them up if you got them. I know Cirque du Soleil runs local stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Casinos run local things. I've not heard, what I've heard about the prices of the tickets, and this is just hearsay and rumors, it's all about whoever has a personal seat license. And personal seat licenses entitle a person to buy tickets for 30 years straight.
Oh, wow.
And they run the gamut from $3,000 to $75,000.
Wow.
And then you have to buy the tickets, and then you can resell the tickets.
Okay.
So if that person decides they want to sell that game, Monday Night Football, for $500, I don't think you're getting much of a discount. But we'll see what happens if there's games and preseason and events and stuff. They might offer locals a discount. I can't say. The Raiders are going to do what they're going to do, and they don't talk to guys like us. Yeah.
All right. So, talking a little bit about Vegas, and a lot of my friends and I, we have to come in. We're not local. What are some of the things that are the recommendations? Where would you recommend that we go that's not on the Strip? It's not casino related. We want to get away from it for a day or so. Where would you go?
Well, it depends on what activities you want to do. I mean, if you want to see the outdoors, you definitely want to rent a vehicle and drive. And there's some really nice day trips that take you just out to downtown Summerlin, for example. You go out to Red Rock Casino, not to the casino, but the Hughes Corporation is huge out here. They bought most of the private land in the west part of town, so they have master plan communities. Downtown Summerlin is a big shopping district where you can walk around, and it's beautiful, plazas everywhere, restaurants, little bars, things to go and see. You have the ballpark out there. If you're here during baseball season, it's actually AAA ballpark wise, they say it's on par with major league stadiums, but it's smaller scale. So it's a beautiful facility. You also have little day trips out to Pahrump, and people think of Pahrump in a negative way, but there's a winery in Pahrump. There's little, camping areas just outside of town. You have Mount Charleston just 45 minutes away, and you can drive up to the lodge, and in the wintertime there's 10 feet of snow up there, and in the summertime it's 20 degrees cooler, and there's hiking trails and pine trees everywhere you go. And you also have the obvious like Meade, Hoover Dam, stuff like that, but there's a lot of little day drives that get out of town.
Is there do you know of a source that people could go to learn about some of these off-strip?
If you just, I use Wikipedia, and people think that's crazy.
Yeah.
But if you look at Las Vegas, the Wikipedia entry on Las Vegas, and then look at recreation, and look at the little sections there, and the history, and just have it on your phone, you'll get a lot of really cool little experiences. Or just hit up TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is great. They have a huge forum, and you can ask a question before you get here, and have people that just love travel that'll answer questions for you. There's also good resources on, obviously, YouTube. I mean, I have a YouTube channel, but there's probably better resources than me. I'm a small channel, so you can always find little tips and tricks and stuff like that. I'd also say, like, any like Condé Nast as a travel website, there's just tap into Google, learn how to search on Google, because people generally don't know the searches. So type in, day trips outside of Vegas or Vegas off the strip activities, and then just see what pops up for you right there, and pick something that you like.
Okay, very good, very good. You mentioned the Hughes Corporation and how they're a big landowner here, but there's also been a lot of changes with the casinos here. With I believe MGM and Caesars Entertainment both have sold off some of their properties. What's the scuttlebutt around town about that? What's happening with these two big corporations?
Well, I mean, it's in terms of business sense, or in terms of what we think about it as locals, people that live here, if you work in the hotel, of course you're a little bit concerned.
That's what I was worried about. Is there's so many people employed on this few mile strip here, and these two big corporations making big changes.
So let's say you work at this property here, the Bellagio, and just last year they sold the building and the land to the Blackstone Corporation. Right. Now they own this. They own the Cosmopolitan next door. Well, I mean, you don't have to worry very much because those properties are doing what's called a leaseback, which means that imagine you sold your business and you're the plot of land it sits on, and you sold your sandwich shop to an owner, but you're the tenant and you're the only one that knows how to make that kind of sandwich. Yeah. So they have a long-term agreement to sit there and try to generate profits in that property. They're going to make the money here, and they're going to do what they do best, or what they think they do best, which is gaming, entertainment, and keeping people happy. Yeah. So everybody working here, as long as you're doing a good job and you have an important job, you're making people happy. But that's another thing too. People have to realize that if you want to have job security, especially in a casino town like this, you need to be valuable to your employer. And the most valuable people to an employer are crap stealers, for example, people that are good at that kind of stuff, or people that can generate profits for the casino. You have job security for life. Those companies aren't going anywhere. They're not going to get out of the Bellagio. There's not going to be a new operator in here. Right. So yeah, it's not a big deal for the employees. It's more of a big deal for the billion-dollar corporations that want to try to open ventures in other locations, and whether or not they're going to make money after they sold their land. But yeah, I'd say job security-wise, people are okay here as long as you have a job that you do really well at and you work really hard at it. It's not as bad as people think. People love to be negative.
Well, and that's what I was worried about. Well, that's what I heard. MGM is laying off, I don't know, I'm just making up a number, 10% of their workforce.
Sure.
But you know what? Every company goes through things like that. You hear that all the time, but it just gets sensationalized, I think, when we're talking about a place as iconic as Las Vegas.
It's informational technology. It's artificial intelligence. Right now the biggest thing is that one of the companies out here, I can't recall which one, is allowing people now to just swipe their debit card at the table.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if you can buy in with your debit or your credit card at a table, that might mean that the cashier's cage will be less busy. Okay, so the cashier's cage is less busy. If we transition over to where people are using less cash, maybe the cashier has a problem. So the cashier can always go to the casino and ask to be moved or trained in another position. And some of the most successful people I've ever seen out here in terms of making money, they work in the union. They have a job, they can sweep floors for the union, but they can always go to the union leader and they can say, hey, I want to take the course to put on harnesses, to be the guy that goes 5 stories up and sets up the lights. Yeah. And guess what? Now you're a lot more valuable.
Yeah.
Now you're the guy who's willing to do that, and you get paid a ton of money, and you have a lot of job security because not everybody's willing to do that. So again, it's like anything, okay? When automation hits the fast food industry and everybody's using kiosks to check out, okay, well, the person that decided to try to be the manager now can manage a restaurant. They have some more job security. Nice. So it's like that. So I tell anybody working in the casino industry, just be valuable at what you do and do a good job, smile when you get to work. And be happy with what you do and make people smile in Vegas, because everybody wants to smile when they're on vacation.
That's right. Right. I know I do.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So last question I wanted to ask about is food.
Okay.
The other night I went over to Guy Fieri's and I had my favorite sandwich of all time, the Motley Q.
Motley Q.
Yeah, it's a great pulled pork barbecue sandwich. But as a local, maybe not necessarily here on the Strip, but what are your restaurant recommendations?
My wife is from the Philippines. I'm from Canada. I grew up in a really multicultural city called Calgary, in an area where there was a lot of Asian, like Vietnamese restaurants. So we like Vietnamese restaurants.
Yeah.
I'd say if a person was here, even if they didn't have a car, if you go over to Spring Mountain Road, which is the road right between the Fashion Show Mall and the Treasure Island, and you hit that bus, or you walk it if it's not too hot, you'll get to Chinatown. And Chinatown is going through this giant renaissance.
Okay.
Some people use the term gentrification, where all of the smaller business are gone and now the nice flashy ones are in. But there's a lot of really great cuisine there, and you can get, for $20, two people could get a really nice fresh meal.
Yeah.
In terms of little restaurants, there's a lot of good burger places that are just off the strip. So
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the best places in town. Go off the strip down to Maryland Parkway. Maryland Parkway has a lot of really nice little places opening up around the university. UNLV is going through this building phase where they're building everything up.
Yeah.
So there's some big chain restaurants down there, like Five Guys and burgers places and stuff, but you also have little bars and pubs and everything opening up down there. And Vegas's culinary, as they call it, scene, it really is good. But I would say go to Las Vegas Weekly or go to Eater, Eater. Eater.
Okay.
Eater is a giant site that covers many, many cities across the United States. And if you go to Eater Vegas, it'll show you all the restaurants that are opening on and off the strip.
Nice.
All the little places that you never even knew existed. Like there's a place called, I think it's Zippy's from Hawaii that's opening up out here.
Okay.
There's a place from Chicago, and I can't recall the name right now. It might be Harold's. They have chicken and things like that. They go off the strip. So there's a lot of little places that you don't get to see on the strip because they can't afford the rents.
Yeah.
So go to Eater Las Vegas, get Las Vegas Weekly. It's a magazine that you can pick up at some of the little grocery stores near here. It's a weekly thing.
Okay.
And they show you the best food and the best bets.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's great. Well, Steve, man, I really appreciate you spending some time with us. Like I said, it's a little starstruck. You've got a growing channel.
Starstruck. I appreciate that compliment.
But yeah, I really appreciate you taking some time. So thank you very much, Steve.
Hey, listen, thank you so much. And so, when I want to learn craps, are you going to teach me this?
You betcha. Yeah.
Usually, what I do is I just follow the guy winning all the money.
Yeah, that's probably your best bet.
It's probably my best bet. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.